Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Flying Shapes webinar. My name is Mark, and together with Jonas, I will be the host of your webinar today, and I will give you a short introduction to what we will do today. If you have questions during the webinar, then please type them on the box in the right-hand side in the chat, and then send it to all of us. Given the current situation with everybody having to stay at home, all of us, we are looking for solutions how to work remotely from home in an efficient way. And when you look at design, there are a couple of barriers to this. Usually you have some special tools. There might be physical tools, there might be software tools, and you need to access them from home, which is not easy, or you need some physical models, or you need to work in a team. In addition to that, when it comes to the automotive industry, but also other industries, there's another issue that is highly important, and that's data security. You don't want your data to leak anywhere to the outside world. So we have found solutions to all of that. And with the uncertainty about the duration of current situation and the period where we are locked down, this issue will remain important. And even for the time after it, working remotely will become more important in the future for all of us. We're convinced of that. So today we will talk about how Flying Shapes can help you to keep working and to get your design done, even though you're at home. You will learn how to interact with your own creations that might be stored on your server at the company side. And you will learn how to interact with your colleagues or even with an entire team anywhere in the world. Also, we will show you the interaction with the Logitech VR Ink, which is a VR stylus brought to the market by Logitech as we speak in April. And we have an amazing solution for that within our software, Flying Shapes. But before we do that, let's briefly give you an overview of what Flying Shapes can do so that everyone is on the same page. I would like to hand over to Jonas at this point, who will show you the basics of our solution. And Jonas, he's already in VR. Say hello, please.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much for the introduction. So welcome to VR. Welcome to Flying Shapes. You might not have recognized it, but you're actually currently watching a mood board within Flying Shapes. My name is Jonas, I'm the co-founder of Flying Shapes, and I will roughly introduce you into the basic functionality of Flying Shapes, while Mark will talk about some details about our product. So let me real quick change the view so that you see what I'm seeing inside of VR. So here we are. So what you see is I have currently an HTC Vive on my head, and I have the Vive controllers in my hand. And I will roughly introduce you to the basic functionalities, while Mark will talk about some details about our product. So I hand over to Mark, and hear you in a minute.
Thank you, Jonas. So while Jonas is doing some sketching and drawing, some paradigms about our software. Our software is a very simple solution to the core problem that designers face when dealing with software. How can you create great designs without having to learn a very complex software, without having to establish a workflow that might consist of several softwares that you have to combine? We developed an amazingly clean 3D tool that focuses on the important steps to turn what you have as a vision in your head into a perfect 3D object. And why is that possible? Because our solution is a VR first concept, and it's based on very simple and intuitive interaction with our software. At the same time, you're able to see what you create immediately, and it's in front of you as if it was a model in front of you. Just like Jonas sees what he does right now, you will be able to evaluate what you do right away in an amazing way. And our overarching goal is to minimize the effort and the complexity for you and to focus on what you want to do, create magnificent designs. We want to boost your creativity to the highest level. Jonas, thank you very much for some of the basic things that you did there. And
Yeah,
I see you're clapping in the hands. Great.
absolutely. I will show you something more in a minute. Thank you very much.
So let's get to the first topic of today's talk, and that's the Logitech VR Ink. VR controllers are very easy to learn in terms of operating them and handling them. As you could see, Jonas is very proficient with them. All of you will be as well. But for those of you who are working with a pen and paper up to now, Logitech created the VR Ink, and you can see it right here in front of you. We have integrated and teamed up with Logitech in order to create a seamless integration into our software. And this offers a great potential to switch from 2D to 3D. And Jonas will explain you how that works. So now again, I hand over to Jonas, who again is in the VR world.
Yes, thank you very much, and welcome back to VR. So what I've just done within the last seconds, I have switched off my right Vive controller and I've switched on the Logitech VR Ink. So now in my right hand, which is my main hand, I have the ink. In my left hand, I have the Vive controller. So the ink, at first you can use it like any other tool. So like any other controller, you can use it to freely draw in 3D space. You can use all the other tools that we support in Flying Shapes. For example, you can create Bezier curves, as I showed you a second ago. You can create wires in a very intuitive way, like you use from other tools. And you can use it to, for example, extrude a surface. And well, I don't like this shape. Let's change the color like this. So you can do all the functionalities you have with a standard Vive controller. But there's more to it. We have actually rethought the process of how to design using a 2D input device like the VR Ink within the 3D space in VR. And this we did by teaming up with Logitech. And the result is it's pretty fresh. So let me show it. It's called the canvas. So what you do is you use the canvas tool to align your physical table to this virtual canvas in front of you. So now I have this canvas aligned to my table where I have a smooth surface and I can draw physically on the table. So really exactly the way that you use, like using a piece of paper or a graphic tablet. So this way, designers can use the muscle memory they're used to while they're actually drawing Bezier splines within 3D. You can use the sketch pen, of course, but you can use any other tool inside the canvas. So for example, you can create Bezier curves in this mode. And then what you can do is, for example, you can move the plane where you're drawing along this axis, move it somewhere here. And you can activate the mirror. So you see a mirror plane, and I can create some more curves. So what you see is I have a center curve and one curve over here on this plane, but this curve is also mirrored. And what I can do right now is, for example, carry on working on the canvas, adjusting, maybe adding another control point, adding another control point here, working on these curves in an intuitive way. But what you can also do is you can work in 3D space. And for example, extrude the surface and snap it to this curve. Once you have done that, you can switch to another view. For example, let me switch to the top view. So I see the surface from the top view. I can adjust the control points in a very intuitive way. And all that with the tools that I typically used to with a pen on my table. So I would say that's for now the most important features that we've been developing together with Logitech to give the designers the tools they are used to and the tools they need to create perfect 3D data that is producible in a very intuitive way. So back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Jonas. That was great to get the overview of how easy to start easily in 3D with the VR Ink and to switch to 3D. Now let's talk about the newest feature of Flying Shapes. And the newest feature is remote access and remote collaboration. This is an entirely new feature that lets you create designs in a perfectly safe way and yet share them with colleagues, with partners, or with your entire team. And we will show you how this works. Remote work today is more important than ever. I mean, everyone is in a lockdown, so this is really important. And we provide you with the technology to work remotely in design. We don't know how long the current situation will take, but even after that, working from home might be your new way of working. It saves time, energy, and by adopting this new concept, which is safe, secure, you're able to boost your efficiency, and it might be the first step in a more efficient, sufficient, and sustainable future. So let's give you a demonstration and an explanation how we work remotely, and then you will see what the full capabilities of this feature are. For that, again, I hand over to Jonas, who's now in the VR world and all by himself up to now, I think.
Yes, absolutely. So far, everything I've shown you, I've done within on my own machine in a virtual studio, which I'm alone in. So I feel a little lonesome. So that's why I've just invited a colleague of mine, Sebastian. So I don't know if he already joined. He should appear any second. So, and together we will show you. Oh, here he is. Hey, Sebastian.
Hi,
High five.
hi, Jonas.
How you doing?
Fine, you?
I'm super fine. So what we can do is we can create surfaces in the way you can do it in the normal way when you're working alone. But while doing that, you can invite arbitrary number of people to your virtual design session, and you can work together on the surfaces on the project you were working on in a very intuitive way. So this way, it really feels like maybe Google Docs, where arbitrary number of people work together on one single file, sharing the file and typing. Somebody's typing at the top, somebody's typing in the bottom. This is the same in 3D. Somebody's working on one part of the design, somebody else is working on another part of the design. I will show you a few more details about that in a second, but first of all, I will explain you how this whole thing works. So what we support for you. So the idea is, normally you work on your own PC. So you start Flying Shapes like any other CAD tool, and you create your data, which is stored locally on your PC in a secure way. But at any time, you can invite somebody. So you can authorize some of your colleagues or stakeholders to access the data. So you can invite this person to access your data so they can see the data, or they can manipulate the data if you allow them to. So this is what we just did. So I have invited Sebastian, and we had the shared design studio. So we designed in a collaborative way. This is one way, but we also support a second approach. What you can do is you can install a specific version of Flying Shapes on premise. So this means you have a server running on your infrastructure, and then you always store all the data in a secure way on that server. And then you can authorize other users to access this data, work on them remotely. They might be able to manipulate the data, or they might only be authorized to view it, to do collaborative design reviews. So these are the approaches we support with the newest version of Flying Shapes. So you can invite some colleagues to your own local installation, or you can have an on-premise installation so that anybody can access it. It can access it from, for example, from home, like at the current status that is very useful for homework, home office, but also you can use it from different sites within your company. Okay, so I've just shown you how I invite Sebastian to my session, and Sebastian is gone, so he's just quit my session. But actually, I know that he has some other project he's working on, so I think he has invited me. So I will show you how inviting somebody to a collaborative design session works. And I do that by checking actually my emails. So just give me a second, please. So yeah, here it is. I can see the email. So what's happening, Sebastian has sent me an invitation link. So I just click on this invitation link and I will ask if I want to open Flying Shapes. I accepted it. And what's happening is Flying Shapes is starting now. And what I'm seeing now is actually the session Sebastian is working on. So I put on my headset again. I switch on my controller. So here we are. And hey, Sebastian. Hey.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. So, oh, that's a really nice design you're working on. So, and now again, like I showed you a minute ago, we can work together. I can activate the mirror and I can use all the tools that you could use in a way that you used to from now until now. So when you're working alone, but you can use these tools at one place of the model while your colleague is working on another place, and you see what he's doing. It's over there. You can zoom in and have a closer look. You can go back to your part, choose your tools, and well, that's not perfect, but well, let's say good for now. Yeah, I like it. It's okay. I can switch off the mirror and have a look at my creation. While Sebastian is still working at the front. And that's it. So I guess you have a very good understanding of the features that we can provide you right now to have this collaborative design session and work with pretty much arbitrary number of designers together simultaneously. Thank you very much. I hand over to you, Mark. And thank you, Sebastian.
Yes, Jonas, thank you very much for the demonstration of the collaborative work. Now, I suggest, Jonas, you and I, we switch to cameras so that the audience can see some real people working on this project. And we have some questions that we would like to answer. The audience has sent them some questions. And Jonas, I will read them out and I would like to ask you to answer them.
And for those people who didn't send questions as of now, you can still send anything that pops up to you. So we are open to questions. So what is it? Do you have something prepared for me, Sebastian, Mark?
Yes, of course. So the first question that we received was, which data formats can be imported and exported?
Yeah, well, so it's clear to us that it's very important that Flying Shapes has to cope with all kind of data formats and enable you to send the data to other software like Alias or Katia, for example. And that's why we support the major formats like STEP and IGES. So you can use these formats to import and also to export. Additionally, we support STL, which is useful for a quick 3D printing, for example, so to create prototypes in a very quick way.
Great. The second question, what kind of headsets do you support?
Well, yes, so the the headsets, it's the HTC Vive. So in principle, anything that is Steam VR compatible. So that would be the HTC Vive, that would be the Index, also the Vario. Additionally, it's actually more important what controllers we support, because to us the headset is really just like it's a tool that enables you to actually use the controllers. So you need the headset to be able to view what you have, the controllers that you have in your hand. And so we support pretty much every controller that is 6D, so that you can use inside of that is tracked in space. So that would be the Vive, that would be the Oculus controllers. And now what's really fresh is like the ink, the Logitech VR Ink. And there will be more devices very similar to that on the market. So once they pop up, we will support more like that.
Okay. Another question, and I think you might have answered it, but let me reiterate on that. Is there a limitation on the number of users in the collaboration mode?
Yes, there is a limitation, and we never managed to reach it because, I mean, you have to have a lot of headsets to test that. And the official limitation is 255 people. So this is the limit that we cannot support more than that. But we don't, I mean, it's getting so crowded, it doesn't make sense to have so many people in a design session. If you really actually want to have more than that, there's actually a way that you can have up to 255 people that can access the data, and as in like modify the data, so they can model and extrude a surface or do stuff like that. But if for some reason you actually need more people, you can always add viewers. So Flying Shapes as such can be used as a viewer. So you don't need to have the headset. You can also log into such a virtual collaborative design session and view what the other people are doing inside VR without having to have a headset. And this is unlimited.
Okay, great. Another question, how does remote work if you're behind a firewall in a company? So I guess it's the question outside, if you're outside of the company remotely, how can you access if you have a firewall?
Yeah. So we talked mainly with car companies about how to solve that in the best way. So actually, me and my partner, so the two co-founders of Flying Shapes, we used to work at CERN, and so we came from this very low-level networking area. So we really have a deep insight concerning all these security mechanisms that you can have. So in principle, we thought of developing our own secure network. And in the end, it turned out that what the most car companies said is they don't want to trust us. They want to use a different technology that is very common and which makes sense. And this would be VPN. So most companies actually set up a VPN network so that when you work from home, you use the VPN, use that to go through the firewall and to access the data on the server. And via this VPN network, Flying Shapes can access the server. So this is the way that is installed on some premises, and this is the way we suggest you to do it, because it's very easy and as secure as it can be.
Then another question about the VR Ink integration. If you have the hardware, so I guess that's the VR Ink, is everyone capable of trying out the integration with Flying Shapes?
If you have the hardware, is everyone?
Yeah, so if you have a VR Ink, I think if you have a VR Ink at home, does it work automatically with Flying Shapes?
Absolutely, yes. So I mean, as soon as you have the VR Ink running, so you need the driver from Logitech, and you need Steam VR and anything, but that's like the stuff you need to make your VR headset running. Once you have that, Flying Shapes will automatically recognize it, and you will see it automatically in VR, and you can use it.
Excellent. Great, Jonas. I think those were the most important questions. And since there are some repetitions, I think we'll leave it here with the Q&A right now.
Okay.
So to all of our viewers, thank you very much for having joined us today. This was a sneak preview of the capabilities of Flying Shapes together with the Logitech VR Ink, but also the collaboration mode. If you want to learn more about that, if you want to have a special discussion how to integrate it in your company, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us either through the webpage or by email. And of course, we would be happy to see you on our next webinar, to have you there on May the 7th. And until that, I will wish you all the best, safe times, and a good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.